Aloha, y'all. It is Monday, ruled by the Moon Day, hence the name. The 28th of September. Trucking along, almost out of September. Today, according to my dream spell, is a root chakra day, right? Muladhara chakra, root chakra. Kind of get into your security, grounding, all that jazz. Do the mantras, Lam, do the mudras, and you will benefit greatly. Today, September 28th, is Blue Magnetic Night, guided by abundance. So, take that for what it's worth. Let's go ahead and pull some cards for this moon day. What up, Sorrel? Hopefully you're doing well. Let us figure out what's going on. I just saw Judgment on the bottom, and I just read Justice, the 60th gene key with my fiance, so that seemed rather synchronistic. Let's go ahead and see what wants to pop, though, on this moon day. We got the Starman. This is the Magician equivalent, which is cool. Right? This is actually the cover of the book. David DeAngelis has been on the podcast twice. He'll probably come back on with his wife at some point. Cool guy, Londoner. We've got the Starman. This is, like I said, the Magician, right? So, number one card. So 0 is the Fool. 1 would be the Magician. That's this. So the Starman. There is no reverse for this card. And that's an interesting point to make. Starman is known as the Alchemist. It's about manifesting your reality. Ideas are communicated and brought into the physical world with ease. You have everything you need to create the world you desire. Reconfigure yourself in liberating, expressive, and complex ways. This is about reconstituting the parts, remolding, taking everything you have and kind of doing new with it, right? Alchemizing, kind of using all the gifts at your disposal to the highest of their ability. The Starman, I will blow your mind. The Starman is an attractor field through which we can observe the self we believe to be true. Once again, belief structures create reality largely, so we got to be careful. So the Starman, right? I will blow your mind. I'll just start over. The Starman is an attractor field through which we can observe the self we believe to be true. We are being invited to see the inherent nature of the human condition and look at what has been fashioned by culture through the ages, the belief and value systems we have simply adopted. His glorious presence awakens us to see another realm entirely, and in that resonance, seemingly irrefutable facts are seen as fictions. Maybe we evolved from apes, maybe not. Maybe, we're like petty human beings suffering through bad choices. Maybe not. Maybe we're divine. Like, we got to look at our values and beliefs and what we've inherited and the lenses and filters we've put on and maybe alchemize them, change them, transmute them. We see the Starman bringing the seed of transformation to the world, carrying the weapon that compels us to self-destruct in one hand and the golden key that unlocks our supreme potential in the other. The luminous one, descending to earth with his arms outstretched, the alien Messiah, a vision of ecstatic color, light, and fire, molecular worlds streaming tendrils of life-giving substance. Traveling through space, surrendered in time, ripples in the exosphere, his presence shimmering with ancient symmetries, waiting for the moment to reveal his power because he knows it will blow our minds. A palpable sense of a palpable sense of creative potency hangs in the air, a hidden potential demanding to be realized. The dissolving of the Starman's solid form into the golden pool of liquid light, the sheer willingness to melt himself down to be reborn as something fresh, something new, but contains all of the elements woven from the past, is a powerful metaphor. Take what you got, bring it down, and make anew. That is alchemy. We too can place the personality and the various jaded facets of ourselves into the flame of the creative fire, God, spirit, whatever, creative fire, to be reconfigured in ever more liberating and expressive and complex ways. We must throw ourselves into the white hot flames, and despite this heat and sheer intensity, doesn't mean it's easy, know that we can never disappear. To boldly confront the fear of destroying that which we cherish, something complete and comfortable, with the great intrinsic value, and yet be courageous and break it down. It's like, this thing is all right. Like, the piano is great. Let's take a sledgehammer to it and see what sounds it makes. That kind of energy. To trust the Starman as he propels us towards the possibility of discovering what we didn't know that we didn't know. Right? And that's where real wisdom comes, knowing that we know nothing ultimately, revealing the raw components of life with all of the thoughts, frailties, passions, and anxieties which can now be transformed and recombined into something powerful, impactful, and extraordinary. Recombined makes me think of, if you've seen Pixar's Inside Out, Joy has balls that come through, and she's like, "Oh, this is a joyful memory." Sadness has sad memories. And spoiler alert, close your ears if you don't want to hear this. Like the epiphany is when they alchemize and bond memories as the fullness of what they are, multiple perspectives, and they transmute single elements into a new glorified whole. Right? That's kind of what's going on. And they're transformed and recombined, those memories, into something powerful, impactful, and extraordinary, more than they once were. He knows power does not come from him, but through him, and he wields it with absolute integrity, creating something magical out of nothing. The Starman offers us the elixir, a constant visual theme and quest in my work with Bowie. How to create images that brought things to the surface to be seen, felt, and ultimately to be healed of its own destruction. We must risk our own destruction, risk our own failure, and embrace what appears to be a mistake. And improvise with life, right? Bowie seized upon things that would have been viewed as insignificant, and these were often the things that bore the most fruit. He wasn't afraid to pull things apart that already looked finished to reveal something unexpected and significant. Solway is to pull apart and coagula is to reconstitute. That's the alchemist's mantra. When the Starman appears, it is a signal to see what elements of your life can be reinvented and rethought in order to recreate, or in order to create and reveal something extraordinary. He is calling you to discover your full creative potential. So the Starman is the alchemist, and we are all alchemists in a dream of alchemy, basically. Manifesting your reality. Your beliefs manifest your reality. You create your reality largely, and your beliefs allow you to know, can you fly? Do you believe you can? That kind of stuff. Ideas are communicated and brought into the physical world with ease. You have everything you need to create the world you desire. Reconfigure yourself in liberating, expressive, and complex ways. And I should say, do you believe you can fly? Like that's how people theoretically got to the moon, or the Wright brothers, or whatever. It's not necessarily about like, oh, I could fly, and all of a sudden you're like levitating like a Bobby G or whatever. But the point is, you're going to be able to create the reality you want. This is going to blow your mind, your rational mind. It doesn't break form to the point where there's no ration, but magic, which is kind of what alchemy is all about, magic itself is beyond reasonability. It's I was just reading this in the 60 Gene Key with my fiance. There's structure, right? And then within that structure come out the architect of the matrix. Out of that comes the oracle and the magic and the unexpected and the punctuation events. So expect a little magic today on this moon day. And I failed to look at something, and I'm going to pull it up right now. It is still Libra season, so the sun is in Libra, and I'm going to guess the moon has moved from Scorpio elsewhere. Whoa, what's happening? This stuff is going crazy, but I gotta look. Wow, it's like there's a glitch. What? This is not correct. This is a transit chart, and I'm not looking for my transit. I'm looking for current planets. Pisces. Okay, so the moon is Pisces, 8 degrees. Interesting. And the moon, sun is in Libra, moon is in Pisces, Mercury's in the Scorpio, 1 degree, Venus is in Leo, loud and proud, and Mars is in Aries in retrograde, wanting to do its thing, but being kind of limited. So with the sun in Libra, balance and beautification, even he's holding his arms out kind of like a Libra. He's like, ah. And with the moon in Pisces, we can dream in magical new ways. We can break down with the water of intuition, the moon kind of guiding us through the dark night of the soul or whatever, into new forms, and seeing how to reconstitute these things and make them new and wonderful things. Beautiful. So let's go ahead and, moon in Pisces, not too surprising. My dreams were kind of crazy last night. Probably when that shifted, actually, at 4:30 this morning is when my fiance accidentally called me. I was in the middle of an insane dream. Only a few hours ago now, but that's about when the moon entered Pisces. So we've got a water card, of course, the 5 of water. So this is kind of going to be, what up, Teresa? This is going to be, as I recall, kind of like the 5 of cups. So not the awesomest energy, but still something to learn from it. All seasons of life have their value. All facets of the Indra's net hold truth at some level. So the 5 of water, loss, betrayal, fear, doubt, hopelessness, isolation, self-pity, and blame, right? And how do we break out of those things? Alchemize. We have to reconstitute the situation and reinvent it, what it means to us through our belief systems, through all this kind of stuff, right? Through our actions. Key phrases: feeling alone and isolated, without hope, consumed by fears and doubts, unable to see a way forward, trapped in the moment, feeling angry and betrayed, mourning your loss, and playing the victim. Meaning, the five of water represents feelings of fear, doubt, and hopelessness that can cloud our minds and hearts and give rise to confusion, misunderstanding, and anger. These emotions are often born of our own pain or insecurities and can cloud our ability to see the love that surrounds us. All too often, when we experience a moment of great hurt or loss, we can feel alone, as if no one could possibly understand the depth of anguish we are feeling. Whether it be the end of a marriage or friendship, the death of a loved one, or a battle with mental illness, like depression, we can sometimes find ourselves weighed down by pain and suffering and blind to the beauty and love that surrounds us. The magic inherent in the reality that is always there. Like he's standing on a magical pedestal that's ever present, right? Loss of any kind causes us to experience a range of emotions. With the moon in Pisces, we're going to feel. And with the sun in Libra, we're going to, and with the moon in Pisces, the sun in Libra, and Mercury in Scorpio, we're going to feel deep emotions, deep transformative alchemical emotions, probably, because alchemy is very much what Pluto's about, death and transformation, which is where our thinking is with Mercury. But with the moon in Pisces, our emotions are going to be super deep and maybe like really watery and hard to hold on to. And with Libra, we're trying to come to some equilibrium. We're like, I don't want to feel this way. And it's like, we just have to sometimes feel this grief, feel this heaviness. Right? Loss of any kind, even loss of perceptions and beliefs, like transmutation of being like, oh, I used to believe this thing, now I don't believe this thing, right? Loss of any kind causes us to experience a range of emotions, including sadness, fear, confusion, guilt, regret, anger, betrayal. Sometimes we can even experience a complete absence of emotion, void space, as Haley likes to put it. She's been feeling that lately. I mean, a lot of people, my mom has been emotionally kind of shut down lately and been like, I've been depressed. I don't know what to feel. I feel like dead and hopeless. And she's not like actually dead or hopeless, but she feels that way. The complete absence of emotion, right? So it's just like void space. To think of the future serves only to add to the burden of sorrow because all hope seems gone. Like those people don't want to like try to pull themselves out and think about the future in a positive way because it feels overwhelming. And sometimes that's okay. The Five of Water is a challenging card because it is not one that offers any real comfort. Loss is something we all experience, and if we are already vulnerable and sensitive to hurt, then it can be overwhelming. Like Moon in Pisces, emotional overwhelm. Oh my gosh, I just want to drink or drug or drown my sorrows or not be here, disassociate. And I have my Mars and Mercury in 12th house Pisces, but in Cancer. When I get really emotional, I'm like, fuck this. I don't want to feel this. I want to run away, right? It can be overwhelming. The death of a loved one, the loss of a friend, being betrayed by someone we trusted and loved, there are no words of comfort that will lessen the pain we feel. The Five of Water symbolizes the need to allow yourself to work through your grief, i.e. transmute it and alchemize it. Like you have to be present in the experiment and not just like try to rush to the next conclusion that's different. When you're in, a phase like this, you have to be fully there until the phase is done. I got the hiccup, sorry. And take as much time as you need. It doesn't mean it's over in a day. Could be a week, could be a month, could be years. Right? This is a season. This is why the Psalms in the Bible are like, God damn it, why have you abandoned me? It's like he was in a phase like this. He felt hopeless. And he has to remind himself through his beliefs, through the alchemy and reconstituting of his beliefs and be like, God never abandons me. He's actually helped me a lot of times before. Oh yeah, I remember. And then, oh Spirit, why are you so downcast? Why are you in this headspace? Because sometimes we lose sight of that. And it's okay to do that. Like we have to experience that. Don't beat yourself up if you're in this place. Allow the emotions to flow and flow along with them. Be water, my friends, but not to the extent that they threaten to overwhelm you or have you lashing out at others. You don't want to drown. Like you want to float down the river, but you don't want to like submerge and disappear like Javert at the end of Les Miserables. Because he was overwhelmed. He had a moment where he couldn't alchemize. If you've ever seen the movie Les Miserables or another play or the musical, it's like Javert was like, I am logic, and this guy's being graceful, and that doesn't fit my logic parameters. Oh my god, I can't transmute this. I'm overwhelmed, and now I gotta drown myself. Spoiler alert. So he jumps into the Seine, and he kills himself because he was overwhelmed. And saying, don't do that, right? You need to remember that you have people around you who love you. Look up. Like to God, right? Look up to hope. While you may feel alone, you are not. That's the ultimate illusion, the separation. Even though these things we experience feel very individual and separate at times, and they fundamentally at some level are, we're never actually alone. There are people around you who have also experienced loss. They know. They understand. Allow them to be there for you in your time of need. Right? And this is where it's like, lean on me when you're not strong. People can carry our burdens. They can't fix your problem, but they can help you to lean into this, right? It's like, that's why we're all here. And ultimately, you're the one going through the alchemy, so you can't expect other people to do your magic for you or to change your beliefs for you. But there are guides and aids all along the way. There's angels among us, all that kind of stuff. And they'll help you, but you're the one being the alchemist. You're the one being the magician. But sometimes we might feel powerless, right? Sometimes we're like, fuck, and don't have an answer, and we sit there and pout with the Pisces moon. We might be very willing to kind of sit in our emotions and just feel this void, and that's okay. Just don't get stuck there, and definitely don't let yourself be so overwhelmed that you don't ask for help. I mean, that's why there's suicide hotlines. That's why community matters. That's why accountability and partnerships matter, right? So let's go ahead and get a Galactic Heritage card and see what the stars have to tell us in that sense. I love how that didn't take long to pop. I'm like, well, I didn't even go through very many of them. So we'll see what this is. We have Open Contact. Da-da-da, the Pleiades. This is when it's like, oh, is that ET in my closet that I'm feeding M&Ms? Open Contact. Was it M&Ms she was feeding him? I'm pretty sure. Open Contact, Future. This card has to do with meeting an other, stepping onto common ground into the unknown and making a connection with a new entity or consciousness, which ultimately is part of the process of alchemy. This is stepping out into the unknown and saying, I have the elements here and I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but here comes the fusion, here comes the fire. Not feeling hopeless and being like, oh, I don't know what to do with this stuff, and being like, I'm willing to let the spirit guide me. And spirit can manifest in multiple forms, other, outside of ourselves, angels, aliens, whatever. Making a connection with a new entity or consciousness. It means facing your fears in order to do this, but experiencing transformation in the process. Facing our fear and hopelessness, right? And our victimization and alchemizing, right? Transforming in the process. Can't make this shit up. Very resonant. The future Pleiadians are committed to mentoring humans in this contact process, and their energy is here to assist you. You are never alone, right? Even in this sense. It is also likely that this Pleiadian energy is a future life of yours reaching out through time to support you. Time is an illusion. Everything's present, so even that future self is like, what are you allowing to believe your future to be at some level? Like if you allow yourself the open-mindedness of alchemy to say there's timelines that I have there's mystery, capital M mystery, then you could be having this. If you kind of shut down and say, no, I don't believe in anything, it's like it's just going to get more narrow, more heavy, until at some point you lose the light of spirit altogether and you don't want to be here. And that's when it can get really heavy. But basically, you have a future Pleiadian energy that could be you reaching out through time to support you. Very much like Interstellar, if you've ever seen Interstellar, where it's like those light beings or whatever. It's them from another point in time. So I'm not trying to be all material reductionistic like that. But like they're like, oh my gosh, we're making contact with like interdimensional beings, and it's like, well, it's actually you in another point in time. Or like when she's getting the watch tick and all that stuff. It's not to reduce the magic, but it's like they're acting through time space as magicians, right? And they're not like when they were really hopeless and they're like, oh my god, we can't escape Earth on my shit, like we're gonna die in a black hole, we're fucked. Like they reached to themselves in a sense, and that's how you can also look at these star cards. These see, you know, this is other aspect of yourself in another form, in another time, in another place. Does that make sense? It shouldn't make total sense because it's kind of paradoxical and beyond the human mind, but you see my point, and it's very well illustrated in the Christopher Nolan movie Interstellar. If you haven't seen it, go fucking get on that shit real quick. Or it could be a new channeling experience. Oodalali. Either way, it is time to open yourself for contact. And contact is going to look different for everybody. So be open to the alchemy that, you know, this guy's making contact on the ground. He's grounded, but he's opening himself up, arms open, to the situation at hand. He's like, I'm going to blow my own mind. I'm a star man. Like, right, I'm going to blow my own mind. I'm going to move through the feelings, the Pisces moon, the heaviness of the human experience, what it means. There's also another great film called Knight of Cups, I think. And it's a Terrence Malick film, and it's a kind of like Pilgrim's Progress Gnostic thing, where it's like, oh, there was this prince, kind of like Pan's Labyrinth, there's this prince, and he was a prince of eternal divinity or whatever, and he fell into some world, which is this world, and he forgot he's a prince, and now he's all bogged down and shit, and he has to remember. He has to reclaim his gnosis or whatever. And he does that through an interesting way. Also, a good film, artsy kind of film with Christian Bale, if you're interested in that kind of stuffs. I prefer Tree of Life, but it's still a good film. It's either way, it's time to open yourself up for contact. And just if you have to reduce it in such a way that's logical to you, it's like you're contacting yourself in another form, in another time, in another space. It's you at some level, right? Quantumly entangled. This card connects with an evolved time stream of Palladian civilization in which they are focused on building relationships with other species. In this case, in the case of Earth, they are committed to preparing for the contact process and have been engaged in a contact program with humans for nearly a century. This is a natural part of the evolution of a planet. Earth will soon be entering a galactic community and is now being prepared. If this card came up in your reading, it may have many meanings depending on your circumstances. Perhaps you are well aware of your interest in or experiences with ET contact. If that's the case, this card is acknowledging that you're that's part of your commitment in this lifetime. It may also be acknowledging a connection that you have to a specific Palladian or other being. If this is not the case for you, this contact card may instead be referring to a different kind of contact you are now experiencing, perhaps with your higher self or with spirit guides, like angels or whatever. Totems, ancestors, all these kind of ideas. It may also be referring to opening contact with a previously hidden part of yourself. If you're unaware of this, start paying attention to the subtle cues around you, the synchronicities, right? Look for those with eyes and ears to see and hear. Quiet your mind, because the monkey mind gets in the fucking way, let me tell you, as a double Gemini. Quiet your mind and open yourself to the guidance of the universe. He's got his eyes closed and he's opened his heart. His mind is like he's closed his head, right? He's like, I'll just shut up and stop thinking. And he's like, I'm here, I'm doing it, right? And sometimes our thoughts can overwhelm us emotionally. So we have to be careful. It's all good. All emotions have their place, but like, don't just like get into a cyclic feedback loop of bad emotions, because that doesn't help. Ultimately, though, it's a paradox. Don't beat yourself up if you're depressed, but like, there are ways to get out of the depression ultimately, and those ways will look different for everybody. It may also be referring to open contact with a previously hidden part of yourself. If you're unaware of this, start paying attention to the subtle cues around you. Quiet your mind and open yourself to guidance from the universe. Let yourself embrace an other and let that experience assist you in the realization that is only a reflection of you. What was I saying? It's only a reflection of you, just like in Interstellar. So with the moon in Pisces, we can open ourselves up to the cosmic magic that is and be really emotionally okay with that. And honestly, transmute some deep, deep emotions, right? 5 of water, like stuff where it's like hopelessness, fear, disjointedness, like uncertainty, all these things that are like fundamental to human reality. Like, it's part of being a human, so don't think that you're alone on that. But everyone experiences it as an individual mode in reality. Like, your depression is your depression, though every monkey probably experiences depression at some point, right? And what it's talking about, especially with the moon in Pisces with the Mercury and Scorpio, we're going to be tapping into parts of our psyche. Scorpio is about the mind, psychologically, and emotions at some level. So our mind is going to open up to parts of ourselves, the deep recesses, the hidden secret parts of ourselves. And we have to, with Libra balance, bring that into, like, it's part of us, bring it into awareness. It's like we think of ourselves over here, and then this is mystery part of ourselves. And it's like, okay, cool, it's both. So just like Interstellar, it's like, oh shit, there's like light beings, or something's knocking the books off the shelf. It's like, that is us. Okay, cool. And bringing it to balance. It's not you in the present moment, but it's still you. The magic is real, kids. Tap into the alchemy if you dare. And it's a choice. It's always a choice. So we have to choose. Open contact is available, but basically you have to be saying, here I am. Meet me where I'm at. Speak to me in a language I can hear, to quote Smashing Pumpkins, or Dark Side of the Moon. It says, speak to me. It's like, ask and you shall receive. There's even some Bible story where some kid is like constantly hearing his name. I forget his name. It's like one of the earlier Old Testament stories, and it's like, he's like, did you hear that? And his master's like, no, fucking go to bed. And he's like, wakes up, he's like, did you hear that? And he's like, no. If it keeps happening, say, Lord, I'm listening, or whatever. Like, I'm your servant. I'm here to listen. I'm gonna get verklempt, because this is people trying to help other people through their confusion, becoming their masters of their own universe through what? Open contact. And this kid is like, he says, like, I forget his name, so I'm going to botch it. It's like, Ishmael or whatever his name is. And he's like, yes, Lord, speak, your servant's listening. And that's when the contact event happens, right? Because he says, I'm open. My arms are open. My eyes are shut, and I'm willing to participate with this. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. Pisces moon, we can allow it. It's all good. I think I'm crying a little because I know this shit's real and people don't remember. And it's sad because people get stuck in like, oh my God, Trump, oh my God, economics, oh my God. And it's like, y'all, there's beings beyond human in this dream, so enjoy that shit. Let's get an animal oracle card. we have Beauty the Swan, right? Let me just darken this a little because I think y'all can't see it as well as I would like you to see it. There, cool. The Swan, Beauty, right? And this is the irony of alchemy. It's like everything is awesome all the time, and then where we're at in our own journey kind of reflects outwardly, and we play with those elements, right? And sometimes there's a beauty in loss. There's a beauty in, it's not like a sadistic, masochistic kind of nihilistic beauty, but it's like, crying is okay, and feeling depressed has a beauty to it that allows you to open up to a higher level of being, in a sense, and the full spectrum of what humanness is, being open to contacting what your emotions, even at that point, because our minds are like, no, emotions are bad, especially as a Gemini moon at 11th house. So it's like, no, emotions are bad, hide that shit. And then it's like, no, you got to feel this. It hasn't been transmuted. So allow yourself to experience beauty at all levels. Well, Phoenix, I'm glad you like it when I cry. Sometimes I get more raw than I would like, but hey, this is as much my catharsis and help for me as it is to y'all. So I have to be willing to be open to that. And plus, with a Mars and Mercury in 12th house Cancer, it's like I can't help but channel where I'm at, right? So, there is no filter. And I should say, I have a Chiron in Gemini, Sun and Moon in Gemini, so it's like, sometimes, like, the communication gets verklempt. Swan, 20, Beauty. Beauty is all around us if we care to observe it. The natural world provides so much of it. Like, what's not beautiful? Even, like, black holes are beautiful in a destructive, crazy way, right? However, remember, beauty is highly subjective. So your beauty and my beauty and what we define as beauty is in the eye of the beholder, the witness, right? The alchemist can only say which elements he would or she would prefer, right? So some people are like, oh my God, I just want to go, drink a bunch of like liquor and listen to Beach House and black out and cry. It's like, that's beautiful in its own way. I used to do that when I had breakups and stuff. But it's also beautiful to like rise through the ashes and become stronger and stuff like that, right? So you see what I'm saying? All right, sorry. Beauty. It's highly subjective. Love yourself first and know yourself. Know thyself. That's what we're being told to do. Look for the beauty in the situation. Every situation has beauty. There's always silver lining to everything. No situation is so abysmal that it has nothing. Even the story of Corrie ten Boom. If you've never heard the story, I'm not going to go fully into it. She and her sisters were sent to a concentration camp. They were Dutch. And then she was sent to a concentration camp. Her sisters died. She ends up getting out of there, becoming a Christian. I think she was a Christian the whole time, talking about her faith. The faith got her through. And then one day, guess what? At one of her fucking press conferences or whatever, Corrie ten Boom has a fucking Nazi guard who is turned, repented or whatever, come up to her and be like, I'm sorry, please forgive me. It's like, wants to shake her hand. And she's talking about forgiveness, and that's how she got it. And she has to sit there and be like, holy fuck, that was beautiful. Easy? No. Fun? No. Like, she almost didn't do it, but she had to she said she let go and let God, like the spirit of love allowed for the open contact. Essentially, she got beyond her victimization feelings, which were true and real, and she alchemized it, man. She and that guy had a moment that was beautiful, and he was a dick-ass Nazi guard. He was a total dick, and he was wrong, and she was a victim, and there was like a victim-perpetrator situation, but she transcended it and made it beautiful beyond the situation as it stands. If you've never heard the Corrie ten Boom story, check it out. It's really interesting. So, ask and your questions will be answered. That is, open your arms and be willing to receive. Sit there and sit in your question long enough to be able to ask and receive. Open contact. Ask and you will be guided. You just have to come to a place in your heart and mind where you're saying, I'm willing to know I don't know, help. And when we say, you don't want to stay in a victimization place. The Pisces moon can get us to a place where I can never get help. Oh my gosh, I'm alone. And it's like, that's the 5 of water. Like, if you're really suicidal, there's suicidal hotlines, right? They'll talk to you. I've never called them, so I don't really know how that goes. But, if you're really in the throes of addiction, there's AA and NA. If you're really lonely, there's many ways, right? So making open contact is a choice, though, whether it's through guidance from above or through lateral lines like humans and stuff, which who knows who's an angel among us, that kind of stuff. So, mythos. It is the Greek god of light, music, and healing, and prophecy, Apollo, who is most closely linked with the swan. Apollo's mother, Leto, caught the eye of the king of the gods. Zeus, that's who the king of the gods was. She refused him, so he turned his form into a swan and seduced her. Leto gave birth under duress on the island of Delos to twins, both archers, one baby for each of the scales, Sun and Libra, the formidable Artemis and the beautiful Apollo. As the god of music, and Neptune rules Pisces, Neptune's about music, arts, and beauty, right? Resonance there with the moon and Pisces. As the god of music, Apollo loved to hear great musicians play and would often come down to earth to hear and bless great music. One of his favorites was a human called Cygnus. For many years, Apollo listened to Cygnus's sublime music until one day Cygnus died. Oh, even the gods experience sadness, right? But guess what? Life and death, they're transmutation, right? And ironically, Zeus was watching Cygnus in open contact. Like there was like, I'll go watch this guy jam. Cool. And then the musician died, right? Cygnus dies. Sad that he would never hear such music again. Five of Waters, kind of hopeless, right? Where it's like, oh my God, I can't get through this. This Apollo, a deity, quote unquote, Apollo turned Cygnus into a swan and elevated him into the night sky among the stars. This is so poetic and beautiful. Talk about transmutation, alchemy. The Starman taking the dead person and shoving them into the stars is a story forever. That's some Pisces moon shit right there, folks. And in a weird way, Libra sun, justice, beauty. It's like, I will bring balance to the force by making you a forever song, right? Apollo turned Cygnus into a swan and elevated him into the sky among the stars. This is how the constellation Cygnus came to appear in the sky. As a healer, referred to the word paean, Apollo had a chariot pulled by swans, where possible, his temples had swans that made their homes there. Swans are associated with love and beauty, very Neptune, very Piscean moon, and beauty, love, right? Balance and harmony in relationships with the sun in Libra. Sorry, I'm spacing. Swans are associated with love and beauty in the Greek culture and were sacred, protected animals. It was also believed that swans would be mute until they were close to death. Then they would sing a stunningly haunting and beautiful song to the gods. This is the origin of the word swan song. Near their death, they became so emotional that they made open contact with the rest of the world. They kept it to themselves, and then at some point, like, ah, or whatever, swan song, and that was an alchemical process, right? It was like the swan is going to go through death, and it's singing a song to celebrate and mourn and all the things, right? Beautiful. So the animal. There are 7 living species of swan, all having similar physical characteristics, including the long, elegant neck. 5 species are around in the northern hemisphere and 2 in the southern. All swans at one time were thought to be white, but then Australian black swans were discovered. Da, 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 da. There's more to the picture than meets the eye. Always be willing to transmute your opinions, even. It's like, oh, there's only white swans. That's what it is. It's like, man, in Australia, there's a black swan. So swans do normally mate for life, but if a mate dies or is unable to breed with other swans, they will find a new mate. Once constructed nests are vigorously defended. There have been, and that's some Mercury and Scorpio shit. It's like, cross my shit and I'll kill you. Right? Venus and Leo. It's like, I love my nest and right? That's kind of the shadow of that. There has even been an episode recorded of a human drowning when attacked by a swan defending its nest. Talk about Pisces moon drowning and like hopelessness. It's like, oh, I was just playing with the swans. That fucker killed me. Oh my God. It's like, yeah, you've transmuted to the great beyond through open contact, essentially, with the swan that you shouldn't have been fucking with, bro. Karmic lesson. There you go. The magic. Swan magic is pure and graceful. It is perfect to use for love workings, Pisces moon, Libra sun, and also when you wish to, like magic, Pisces moon, and Libra relationships, right? Love workings. And also when you wish to find more beauty in our world, Libra sun. How do you find the more beauty? Pisces moon. How are you moved to the emotional depths of like, oh my God, Beethoven was deaf and he was making this shit? Holy tits. Or, oh my gosh, Corrie ten Boom handshook her security guard Nazi as a former concentration camp person. That's beautiful. Brings tears to the eyes. Or in the movie by Roberto Benigni, Life is Beautiful, also about the World War II situation, he fantasized, Pisces moon, a situation with his son in which he created it as a game, even though he ends up having bad effects or whatever. It's like he tried to beautify the situation so his son wasn't fucking scarred to death, right? Or like didn't lose his innocence, essentially. Very Pisces moves. Like, I will make this a beautiful experience so you can balance, get through life and death. Libra sun. Everyone could do with a bit more beauty in their lives, and that's what we're kind of trying to do here. We're trying to what? Be alchemists. I mean, that's the beautiful task we are given. Symbology is the lyre, the guitar. I'm about to play one. The Cygnus constellation, Apollo's chariot, Apollo riding a swan, Leto with a swan. Status. Their status ranges from least concerned to threatened, so all over the place there. Let's go ahead and get an art oracle card and a crystal card. We've got Rem Koolhaas. I was talking about Corrie ten Boom. She's Dutch from the Netherlands, right? This guy's Dutch as well, so synchronicities abounding. So where are you at, Rem? Where are you at? It's got to be. Here we go. Rem Koolhaas. He's still alive. Born in 44, so right at the end of the whole, Corrie ten Boom situation. Before he was a Pritzker Prize winning architect, Rem Koolhaas was a journalist and a writer, hailed for his retroactive Manhattan Manifesto Delirious New York from 1972. Founder of architecture firm OMA and its research branch AMO. So OMA, AMO, there's some labor balancing even in the acronyms. Rem mixes his practice with fashion, literature, and media and builds on big controversial ideas about the modern world. With graphic designer Bruce Mao, Koolhaas published SMLXL in 1985. That's a really snazzy title, like all the sizes of t-shirts, basically. A landmark tome that blends literary genres to present OMA projects and philosophies. Koolhaas's office is like a fertility clinic for talent, having produced some of the most innovative and in-demand architects working today. Innovation is what alchemy is all about. So Koolhaas was turning people onto their inner magi, and saying, go be free, create beauty. It'll look different in different mediums, whether it's television or architecture or screenplay writing, but go ahead and get all your emotions out through a medium and make open contact with your muses, essentially. Get in touch with your higher self that's going to bring beauty and joy and love to yourself. And that's what Rem Koolhaas was doing. So we're going to get reconsider your concept of small versus big is the advice we're getting from Rem. So, what as above, so below, the kind of maxim of the alchemist, that is the point. It's like the universe is you and you are the universe, and this as within, so without, this macrocosmic, we have to be reconsidering this. And when we feel stuck or something, and we see situations outside of ourselves that we don't like, we have more of a power of influence than we dare dream. We have to reconsider. Are we the product of a world happening? Are we the designers of this? Both and simultaneity. It's a paradox, I know, hard to grok. But the point is, we have to reconsider our roles as sentient, divine, image-bearing people in a polarity 3D passion play or whatever. We have to reconsider what that means. Sometimes that might feel very emotionally overwhelming and disempowering, right? We might be like, oh my God, I've got to pay all these bills and I'm broke. Oh my gosh, this person I love doesn't talk to me. Oh my gosh, we could be overwhelmed with all these things. Oh my gosh, I don't believe in America anymore because the fucking elections are shit or whatever. Or you're like, oh my gosh, here comes time traveling Trump. Pisces, moon, delusional stuff. Who knows? But the point is, we can feel overwhelmed and we play victim. And sometimes there's a season of victimization, but just like the Psalms with David and his lyre, Cygnus, the lyre, Apollo, because David was a psalmist who basically played really good guitar and would put people to sleep like King Solomon. And stuff like that, or King Saul. I forget. I think it's Saul. But the point is, we have more power than we ever dare dreamed, and it's our limited thinking. Sometimes our balancing ration with imagination. The downside of Libra would be like we're overly balanced, we're overly rational. It's like, yo, like you're not a victim to life. It's happening through you, not to you. So what's the lesson? Kind of step into the power there. It's all beautiful, right? Even the most harrowing moments have beauty within them and the potential for what? Catalysts for change. That's what alchemy is all about. It takes all sorts of kind of effects to cause alchemical changes, and that's what we're witnessing. We're witnessing what we would prefer, subconsciously or not, right? Be in open contact with your daemon and your higher self. In Greek terms, daemon was like your spirit guide, right? Like you have a sense of self that is so powerful and so in tune that you can ask for help when you feel. When I feel like I'm in times of trouble, Mother Mary comforts me. That's like the higher self, open contact. Hey, I need something else. Divine grace and feminine form outside of myself. That's an anthropomorphized spiritual thing. I don't want to get into the debate. Is like this a real thing outside of me? Is it me? Whatever. It's both and simultaneity. So tap into the magic. It's always there. Don't let yourself be overwhelmed. We might be feeling very sensitive right now, very volatile, very fragile. What with the Pisces moon, and we're just like, oh, I don't know how to feel. I don't, especially with Mercury and Scorpio. Like we might be like shelling out and hermiting up and being kind of very like in our heads. But it's all good. Even that season, even that psalm has a purpose, right? Let that thing open your heart, make open contact with God, basically. Like it's a point of, when we come to the end of ourselves, that's when we reach out to other and we kind of have this moment, right? So reconsider your concept of small versus big. Sometimes we're like, nothing can help me. It's like, oh, even the littlest things, the blessings are going to come in and help. And then sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, I need the biggest miracle, and then it happens. So it's like, wowie zowie. Reconsider those things. Let's get a crystal card, and then I will jam. I don't know what happened I'm going to see what happens today. I do this on an iPad and my phone, and the phone picked up the jam fine, but on YouTube, the jam wasn't picked up because as soon as I unplugged my headphones on this, I might just leave the headphones plugged in. I'm not sure if that's broken. If it happens again, something wrong with my iPad. But hopefully, like the music came through on the phone, but not on the iPad. So yesterday's jam was like not how it should have sounded on YouTube. But on Facebook Live, it was fine. So we're getting obsidian. What it is, obsidian is a black volcanic glass. Before the internet, before AI, before kitten food delivering drones, like way back, early Homo sapiens were getting it done with obsidian tools. Capable, and once again, it's a rock from volcano. That's from alchemy of the earth, right? So it's like we're using tools of the earth's own alchemy. Obsidian is capable of holding an extremely sharp edge. Obsidian scalpels are used in surgeries today, so it's still like really good tech. Who needs it? Anyone looking to cut out negative people and patterns from their lives. Scorpios, where the Mercury is right now. So if you've got too much on your plate, too many ideas, too many beliefs, too much baggage, and you're being weighed down and you feel helpless and hopeless and uncertain and all this jazz, time to cut it and be free. Alchemize. Cut off the gangrenous leg, right? It's sometimes better to lose a limb than lose your life in that sense. Where to put it? In your pocket, like a concealed weapon against bad vibes. Very Scorpio tale. I got a knife, man. I got an obsidian blade. When to use it? When thinking positively seems out of the question. When you're so overwhelmed and you can't bring up your vibes. And you're just like, I'm depressed. I'm out of it. Fuck all this. I'm over it. Where's the fucking exit? Like that kind of vibe. We need some obsidian. So when thinking positively seems out of the question. When dark forces are at work, dig in, arm yourself with obsidian, and throttle back. It says protect your soul. So I think with the Sun in Libra, this is about bringing beauty and awareness, like unconscious and conscious elements. And the Moon in Pisces bring our biggest dreams and delusions, fears, hopes, nightmares, all of it coming up emotionally. And with Mercury in Scorpio, we have this ability to kind of get to the bottom of the barrel, lift up the rocks and see all the tiny crawlies and be like, oh my gosh, that's why I'm addicted. Oh my gosh, that's why I'm codependent. Oh my gosh, that's why I'm this way. Oh my gosh. Like we'll see it. And this is about protecting your soul. Keep this guy alchemizing. Like keep your wizard. Don't let protect Gandalf from the Balrog. That's kind of what we're doing here. Protect your soul. You shall not pass. Like cut off the things that are bringing it down. And by cutting them off, I mean transmute them, right, through alchemy. We need to be making open contact, essentially, with our higher selves for a beautification process. Sometimes we don't fucking feel like it. And guess what? That's when we really need to ask for help. Sometimes there's a moment of stillness. It's like, okay, I'm in the eye of a hurricane. I got to let this pass. Sometimes we go, shit, I'm in the eye of a hurricane, and here comes the next eye of the storm wall, and I got to, like, hunker down now. I need help. National Guard, help me, or whatever, right? Reconsider your idea of big versus small, right? Small versus big. Like sometimes like things that you feel are like, oh my God, I got to kill myself. They might not be that big and you're just having a bad day and your chemicals are off and it's just a situation and you've got to alchemize through it. Sometimes things that you think aren't that big of a deal are draining your fucking soul and you got to like use obsidian to cut them out. Like you might have straight up energy vampires surrounding you and you're like, why do I always feel like low self-esteem and why do I hate myself when I talk to these people? It's like because they're fucking distorting your view on yourself and causing you not to, they're adding to your woes. So that's when like boundaries and cutting out people is helpful. And then sometimes we might be doing that to ourselves. We might have this inner critic that's just like da 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 da, and the like there's Jiminy Cricket and then there's a devil or whatever, right? You have parts of yourself. So it's like you have a part of yourself that's always like, there's hope. Oh my gosh, golly gee, let's like find the silver lining. And then there's part of you that's like, you'll never make it. You're gonna die. You have nothing, We have to alchemize that shit. We have to play with both aspects. But sometimes, especially with the Moon in Pisces, we might feel overwhelmed emotionally with things that cause us to feel that we don't see the beauty in reality, right? And we've got to use obsidian to cut that shit out. Protect your soul. Soul and body are different things in a way. I mean, it's all one big magical mystery tour anyway. But like, there's things that might be like whether it's diet, exercise, bad relationships, ideas and beliefs that you're like letting fester around your brain that aren't even yours, like cut that shit out because it might be bringing you down. You might not be able to see the beauty if all you're doing is listening to Marilyn Manson and fucking like, slitting your wrists and saying, Hail the Dark Lord. There might be a season for that where you say, oh, I hate life and I'm nihilistic, but you don't want to dwell in that river forever, right? This too shall pass. So reconsider the things that maybe feel overwhelming. They'll pass. The things that don't seem that big might be important. Like you're not getting enough sleep, or maybe, using certain chemicals too much might be causing a disequilibrium in your life that is causing you to be depressed. So, like, be willing to make open contact with higher revelations, new alchemies, new place. This is going into the unknown boldly, right? And what do? You bring? You don't just go there and say, "I trust it all." You say, "I trust it all," but you know, you have a samurai sword. You have obsidian. It's like when things get really shitty and I have to like defend myself, even though you're defending yourself from yourself in this weird Ouroboros paradoxical meta narrative way, you need to cut out things that no longer serve you, right? Um, like Jesus when they were at the fucking Last Supper, he was like, "One of you is about to betray me. Go do your shit. Be gone. Like whatever. I accept the situation. This is how I alchemize and become the glorified body Christ, or whatever. But this is like a real bummer. One of you is going to betray me right now." And it's beautiful in a weird like plot twist story way, but at the same time it's like, shit, go do your thing, son of Satan, or whatever the story is saying, right? And Satan entered Judas and he went and did his thing, right? And Jesus probably sitting there being like, fuck this guy, I've got to block his energy, but like, thy will be done, right? So reconsider your concept of small versus big. Sometimes the things that feel like they're drowning you aren't that big of a deal. Breathe through it, let it pass. It's okay. Like they just kind of in your field of vision, really up close. And then sometimes things that you think are just small little gremlins are actually what are causing your plane not to be able to fly. So it's like, holy shit! Like how much are you giving other people's opinions power? Like you have to be sovereign. You have to be your own magician. You have to be your own alchemist. Ultimately, it includes others, and we have to be in this kind of like, we're all in creation, so we have to be respectful of others, but you're on your own trip, so that has a level of responsibility inherent to it. I'm going to, I guess, leave the headphones in. I don't know how this is going to work. Leave the headphones in and come over here and play some music. So I think the headphone microphone is actually not that bad, so it should pick up the jam. I'm kind of trying to adapt. I don't want to unplug this and then have it not work again, though I guess in unplugging it I would find if it's working or not, like if it was a one-time deal or if this is like just how it is now. So let me set this up, because this phone worked fine yesterday. All right, so whatever, I'll just leave the headphones on, I guess, and make sure it's pointing the right way. Cool. All right, so let's play some music. We've got the magician, the Starman with the 5 of water, meaning like emotional overwhelm. So we're actually probably in a very magical time of self-beautification and balancing and harmonizing and coming into, alchemizing shadow work, if you want to put it that way. But it doesn't make it easy. It's beautiful in its own disturbing way, but it doesn't make it easy. It's like Jack, like dying for Rose on that door in the Titanic. That's beautiful but sad, right? It's like that. It's like sometimes it's beautiful and sad. Jesus. So magician. Magic and alchemy. Hold on. Get all this shit straight. Magic and alchemy through the magician. Might have to turn that down a little. Magic and alchemy through the magician, showing us as within, so without, as above, so below. We have the ability to really create reality. But it's a both and we're participating with it as we're observing it. So we have to be aware of our emotions, because our emotions and our beliefs and our limiting, our hopelessness, our fear, our anxieties influences how we feel we can actually operate as magical beings, right? Anything is possible. Nothing is impossible. Our minds and our beliefs create impossibilities. So if you really don't think you can walk on water, you never will. If you think you can, you will, right? It's a matter of belief. And then how that flushes out. You can wear fucking very highly buoyant shoes, or you could have magic and walk across the molecules of water, or what, like there's many ways that can manifest, right? When I say walking on water, magic is real. It's happening all the time. Everything's miraculous. But what we do is get into our feels and our expectations so much that we limit our ability to see the beauty all around us, right? We need to be taking obsidian to protect our soul and cutting out the energy vampires, cutting out the bad habits, cutting out the bad beliefs, essentially, that serve a function at a time but don't dwell there, in order to manifest and magnify our ability to create powerfully as co-creators in this dream. There can be seasons, especially the moon in Pisces, where we feel overwhelmed emotionally, where we feel, I don't know how to do this. And that's when we ask for help. We ask for open contact, guidance from above, from ancestors, from spirit, from aliens, from angels, what God, however you want to break that down for yourself, right? And beautiful options will come. It's always all beautiful, but sometimes like the Negredo process of alchemy is very different than, coagulation. I'm forgetting all the processes, but the point is there's different processes, so different seasons look different. It's all beautiful, it's all good, but sometimes to see that beauty, to get out of our weird headspaces, we have to get into a place where we're getting help from outside of ourselves. Like I was saying with Interstellar, it's not really outside of them, it's them in another timeline, in another place, and that's all good, it's how it is. We need to reconsider our concept of small versus big. We need to reconsider how we interact with ourselves. We need to reconsider our linearity of time versus like all is now thing. We need to reconsider everything. And with the balance of the scales of true and false, and with of the Sun in Libra, and with Mercury and Scorpio, we can get to the bottom of this stuff. And with Venus and Leo, we can do it in a beautiful way, a way that makes us feel good. Beauty. Beauty. But don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't be afraid to be in your depression, but don't try to stay there, right? Know that this too shall pass, and you are the one controlling literally how long that'll take. It's up to you. Use obsidian to cut out the negative forces in yourself, quote, and without yourself, quote, and you will fly higher than an eagle or a swan in this case. So that's kind of what's going on. No podcast today. We had two really fascinating ones with Ren Butler, an astrologer and depth psychologist, a Jungian psychologist, as well as Corinne Wilson, who is the occult priestess. She's out in LA dealing with New Age thought and confronting it, Buddhism, Russell Brand, cult of personality, all that kind of shit. So check out those podcasts. I'll post them in the links. And if you want a reading, hit me up. I love turning people on to the magic of who they are and helping them catalyze themselves through the journey. You are doing it all yourself, but I might be an external manifestation. Someone you reach out to, right? Open contact, hit me up. I can give you a chart reading. Love giving chart readings, love giving card readings. Holler, I'm at your service, Avi. So on that note, have a good Monday, Moon Day. Try to get into your feelings with the moon in Pisces. With Mercury and Scorpio, go deep. So go big or go home, go big. And then you'll come to some equilibrium and a new level of awareness. You'll punctuate and you'll be in a new stage of alchemy. As the alchemist, as the magician. Guys, we got this. Enjoy the fucking ride.